Thanks, Rowie. We're going to find out more about what this means for the economy there and get some real answers about how switching to the dollar can impact businesses. Steve Hanke is a professor of applied economics, Johns Hopkins University. Good to see you again, sir. Let me just start with this. I didn't get into it with Rowie, but part of the reason we got here is because of hyperinflation. So help us understand why that's an issue and how that's an economic crisis.
Well, the hyperinflation in Zimbabwe actually was the second highest one in the history of the world. In November of 2008, it peaked out at 79.6 billion% in the month of November 2008. And at that point in time, everyone in Zimbabwe just decided they weren't going to use the Zimbabwe dollar anymore, and that was the end of it. I mean, the place just spontaneously dollarized, and that was the end, really, for all practical purposes, of the Zimbabwe dollar. And then in January of 2001, the government even gave up, and they said, we're going to start keeping the budget in U.S. dollars. So really, since January 2009, the Zimbabwe dollar has been officially even out of the picture. And of course, once the people stopped using it, inflation came to a halt. So there hasn't been inflation in Zimbabwe since the spontaneous dollarization occurred in late 2008.
So, Steve, it's been 6 years, and as you say, it's worked. Inflation has calmed down significantly, and they're off to the U.S. dollar now. The impact, though, must be quite unique on the businesses. I don't know how you'd even begin to calculate it, but maybe you can help us understand.
Well, the impact is positive. The impact is very positive because can you imagine the prices were going up almost 100% per day. So they weren't marking prices up on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. They were marking them up on an hourly basis. Prices were changing, and everything in the store was changing in price in terms of Zimbabwe dollars, just as you were literally watching almost. So the economy just came to a complete standstill at that point in time, and since then, it has stabilized and they've had growth. Now, you have to realize that Zimbabwe, though, under the Mugabe government, has had a disastrous set of economic policies. The hyperinflation was just one problem. They have fundamentally a socialist state, and that socialist state is ranked 171 out of 189, countries ranked by the World Bank's ease of doing business. So it's very hard to do business in Zimbabwe. It's amazing that the place moves forward at all, quite frankly, Phil.
So now that they're moving to the U.S. dollar, things have stabilized. What's next for the future of the economy there in Zimbabwe in the next 2 or 3 years?
I think things will remain stable but rather grim. And if you look over the horizon, if they would do any kind of sensible economic reforms to free the economy up, the place would take off like a rocket, because it's been hindered now. You've had Mugabe in power for over 30 years. So it's a little like the Soviet Union was. You had the Soviet Union crushing the thing, and then liberalize, and boom, it starts going. Even a greater example, of course, is China with Deng. You had the Maoists under control. The economy was crushed. Deng came in, and boom, the thing has been on a roll ever since with China. So that's the kind of potential you're looking for in a place that's been under the boot of socialism for a long period of time.
Steve, I only have another minute left. What's some of the specific reforms you'd like to see?
Well, for one thing, you could start with a civil service. I mean, the thing is just full of people not really doing anything except getting in the way. So that would be one start. And basically just do what the Chinese approach is, just incrementally take the shackles off and let the private sector be freed up to do its job. That's get the red tape out of the system. I think the Chinese model is absolutely the way to go in a place that's been with those shackles of socialism for so many years. So just gradually let it free up sector by sector, starting with, of course, mining and agriculture. Those are the two biggies, mining and agriculture with Zimbabwe.
All right, Professor, it sounds like they needed some more good folks that's knowledgeable about business like you out there. Thank you very much for your time on this interesting topic, I must say.